there. Our house is a mess. Come on in. Welcome to Fly on the Wallin, hosted by me, the lovely, fabulous, delicious Amber.
And Ben, the straight talking, joke whacking, slip slacking, slip and slacking co-host Ben.
Right. If you don't know us, just think of us as two water bottles trying our best to stay wet and filled. Yummy. We're here to share our stories of dating, parenting, and what happens when you record it all for the world to see. Ben, I love that was a good one. Wet and filled. We love to be wet and filled. That's great.
Especially on a hot California day. We got heat waves around the U.S. People are dying from heat exhaustion. I suffered from some heat sickness. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, you
Really,
did.
first time ever I was shivering. I was waking up sweating. Basically, your body forgets how to regulate its own temperature. So you're hot, then you're cold, then you're on, then you're not.
Yeah, well, why don't we as we always know, there's more to this story. So we went to the beach for a day to celebrate my friend's birthday.
Hmm
And then after that,
It
after
was
3 hours,
truly a great time because I drink a lot of Trulies.
yes, you did. And after that, after 3 hours in the sun, you
I was
decided to do
drunk.
what?
I wanted drunk basketball.
You wanted to drunk basketball.
Yeah, it's like the best way to play basketball because, you're like, that wasn't a foul. And you're like, I don't care.
So you went to the courts and further prolonged your sun time by how much more time would you say?
Uh, Enough to make me sick for 2 days.
I didn't even know sun sickness was a thing until I showed you on my Instagram and people were like, he's got sun poisoning. That's a thing.
Oof.
Yeah, that's so bizarre.
I mean, not really. It's a thing. Your
That you
body's
are
too
having
hot.
diarrhea from enjoying a day at the beach. I feel like that's
It
a
was
little
the worst
bizarre.
thing was the shivers and the headaches. Oh my god, I would sneeze and my head would just collapse in itself. Not cool.
And you had it for
Don't
about
do it.
3 days, right?
Yeah,
Well, are you feeling better now? You look
I'm
good.
feeling way better because you give me all the sun in my life and you don't give me sun sickness.
How cute.
You give all the benefits of the sun without the sickness.
Like what? What's one benefit of the sun?
You give me the vitamin D I need, baby.
Okay. You know what? You want to jump right into the show a little bit?
Yeah.
The top of the show is continuing to gas me up, which is what you always do. So we have a couple of shout outs that we need to
Oh yeah,
just
this is
shine light on.
nuts. This
Okay.
is crazy.
These are all like really fun things. Two big announcements. Thank you to all those of you who supported our Kickstarter for our documentary. We dropped a documentary, We're Pregnant and Other Lies. We've been promoting that documentary every week on the podcast and just sharing that with people. You can find it on Patreon. And the documentary that I directed and edited while Ben
It's
is
got
also
its
the
first
subject.
laurel. Those little
It did.
laurels you see on like Cannes Festival. She didn't get accepted to Cannes, but it was a huge festival. It's BronzeLens, historically black festival in Atlanta, ATL. So you are heading home, baby. Home where it all started.
I know, and it was
To
so
the Georgia.
emotional because the first part of the documentary was truly filmed on an iPhone. Like some of the clips in the documentary are vertical for a reason. So I just never thought. I've always loved editing and storytelling, but to be selected for a film festival is like next level. And I've applied to a few. We've talked about that on the show. So I'm just really proud of myself. And this, even though I edited it and directed it and produced it and did a lot of work for it, I really do want to thank you because you helped babysit, so I could do all of those things. And you were super, super supportive. So this is like, if I actually win an award at the festival, it's our award. It's our win.
I know.
So thank you, all those of you who have been just rallying around us. So that's the first big piece of advice. The second really major fun piece of not advice. The second really major fun announcement is that we are up to. Do you know how many podcast ratings we have on Apple? What you looking
like
at?
800, 800, 300?
801. Are you looking at the outline?
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it. We have 801 podcast reviews. I'm going to tell y'all why this is a big deal. Because all of you have been giving the podcast such incredible reviews, I actually got to sit down this week and have a meeting about potentially touring the podcast, having a live tour where we go to different cities around the country and do the podcast in front of a live audience. So we are currently in the process of getting that show together to produce it. So we are super excited, and we're trying to decide like what cities to go to and things like that. Nothing is set in stone yet, but as soon as the tour dates drop, we will share all that
Or
information.
paper. Nothing is said in paper either.
Or so I'm sorry, out of all of the announcement about Fly on the Wallin being a live podcast tour, you heard nothing was set in stone. I need you to focus. That's why, I'm not cutting the jittering at the top of the show.
I'm excited.
How much of
I'm
that coffee have
excited
you
for
had?
this. I didn't know you were going to announce this now. I feel like
Well,
it's
I'm
too
not.
early to announce it
No,
because, right?
it's not too early because what I want to say is I thank all of you for continuing to write Apple Podcast reviews because those reviews actually led to a real conversation this week. Again, nothing is set
That's
in
the
stone.
first time I heard of it. So the in the meeting they were like, "You have high podcast reviews."
Yeah, he was like, "You've got really great
Wow.
high podcast reviews, and we feel like we could do something with this."
I didn't know that. I didn't. Amber, I
Okay,
don't sit in all these meetings. So dang, that's so cool.
let me tell you why you don't know. Because after the meeting, I asked you if you want to sit down and discuss what the meeting was about because it was about the podcast, and you
Oh,
were
I
like,
was
"No, I gotta
tired.
eat, I
I
gotta
was
clean,
so
I gotta,"
tired.
because
I,
you were still sunsick. So
I was sunsick, and I just taken the kid out to the kid Wild out to. We have a kid named Wild, so if people don't know, we have a kid named Wild, and I took her to a library, but this library was just chaos, man. It
yeah,
was
you
it was
you
a- it
were
was a, lo- it was a lot of fun, but there were so many kids and so much activity. Then they had 30 minutes of free play, and she's running around, and now she's really into like running into the street. So I had to grab her from the street. So I was very tired when I came home. Yeah, I
hmm
didn't know. That's awesome.
I
Wow.
know.
Okay.
He
Cool.
was like, I saw that this show, like, not only does it have like great numbers in different cities, but it's doing really well as far as reviews go. So
Oh yeah.
you're one of our number one people that we want to consider touring with. I mean, both of us. I was just the
Yeah.
person in the meeting.
So we're
So,
we're in early stages of this planning
yep.
to do an interactive live show. So if you ever watch the HBO Max live show, Will Arnett and Jason Bateman, it's called
And Sean Hayes, Smart List.
Smart List. So if you've seen that show, what we're gonna produce is gonna be a little bit elevated than what they do,
Puh.
probably.
Okay, well, not that because obviously we're
We're gonna have a
not.
good time. We're gonna out. I'm gonna out
You're
Bateman.
gonna out
Bateman.
people.
I'm
Oh,
gonna out
okay.
Bateman. I like Jason Bateman. I like his dry humor, wit. Yeah, so we're
I
we're
like it too.
pushing
He's
some
a silver
ideas
fox.
together. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
We
Yeah.
are, yeah, but that I'm telling you, that
The
is
goal is
why
by the end of the year, right? You said.
yes, so we're definitely going to have at least one show before the end of the year, and then if that show does well, we're going to be doing like a full tour in 2024.
So I guess Amber's saying this. So if you really like to meet us in person, the best way to do that is to add another podcast review and tell your friends, listen to just one episode. You know what? Just subscribe, right? Have it downloaded, have it play it to your cat when you're away from work if you got a cat or a gerbil. Some people have gerbils or a skunk. We found out today some people have skunks as pets.
Skunts. Some people have cunts too, huh?
Skunts.
Anyway, I do want to read 3 of the reviews real quick because these are the kind of things that y'all have been saying about us. Okay, come on, Grandma. Okay, this review is from S. Johns Lee, who also made this review on the 4th of July. Love, love, love this family. I've been watching Amber and Ben since TikTok before there was Baby Wild. I love the topics they talk about and where they can be serious but goofy, and at the same time, keep doing y'all thing. Also, hey to my niece Wildlin. Got another review for you. I love you guys. This one's from I Have No Name. Great. We love you. I Have No Name. My first encounter was a video of you getting Ben ready for Black Church. You remember that? And I was
Yeah.
an instant fan. Listening to your podcast give us a deeper look at the two of you individually. Thanks for sharing your love and struggles as you navigate parenthood. Much love and success. You want to hear one more just because we're like feeling the love best?
Yeah, if you got 3.
Yeah. Oh, I got 801, but here is a third. Last one. Desi Love says, obsessed. I'm actually obsessed with this show and their content. They're genuine, authentic, engaging, and relatable. I enjoy their dynamic and their transparency. They're also hilarious naturally. Definitely give the podcast a listen. Isn't that great, Ben? Well, some of us are hilarious, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're both. We make a good team together. Hilarious. We're hilarious
We're
together.
hilarious in the
Together.
hilarious life. Yeah. No, we are. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Amber thinks she's so much better than me, which is funny because then when she fails, it's like she just is so heartbroken.
Well,
by her
I
failure.
have integrity for the craft.
She's
That
like, wow, Ben did something better than me. Oh
what
my
did you do
God.
better than me? What have you recently done better than me that I didn't teach you how to do? So don't come over here and talk about your little TikToks. My TikToks have been doing well. You don't even know what a tick or a talk was until you met me. Okay?
That's true.
Who taught you how to edit? Who taught you how to laugh and smile?
I know how to put a kid in a car seat better than you.
What? Sure. Did I recently not put her right in the car seat?
Yeah, Amber like forgets to like strap her up so the car seat buckle is
Well,
like
I don't
below
choke
her
her. That's
elbow.
you're correct. I don't put the thing that says armpits on her neck. You're correct in that. That's what you do.
You put it on her little tummy. I was like,
I do not put
that's
it on her
gonna
tummy.
that's gonna squish her intestines.
No, and you put it on her neck. So that's not okay. Can we talk about babies for a second?
Yeah, we're on the subject of babies, which I do better. I do caring for babies better than you. So
No, I'm gonna give you your props
thank you.
because I can't be everything. I can't be beautiful, talented, funny, and
the number one
and the
parent.
number one caretaker. So
You can't.
you and Wild have a very close bond that obviously like brings me to tears in the best way. I love watching y'all read books together and
Tears of jealousy or tears because that's the best way. Tears of jealousy
yeah,
are the best.
just I'm like standing behind an oak
Like,
tree,
I'm
just watching you two.
plotting my death.
Yeah, but I love that y'all are close. I love that you are a great caretaker. A lot of people don't show up for their kids, so it brings me great joy to see you.
A lot of
Spend time with your
fathers
child.
don't show it.
You said it.
I
not
got
me.
that. I got that dadication. Dadication.
I like that.
I got
Ben's
that
got that
dadication.
dedication. Okay, maybe a podcast episode name.
Dadication.
So the first segment of our show is called #influenced. I influence. Who is that, Ben? Oh, the racism. I influence. Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you?
I don't know. A
Waka
seal?
flocka flame.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
She
Anyway,
sounds like a seal.
if we're keeping a friend of mine recently informed me that I always have a strike system that I keep that basically amounts to nothing. So that's a strike so far for not knowing Waka Flocka Flame. Anyway, so during
Are we
this
playing
segment,
softball or baseball? Do I get 4 strikes or 3?
in what sport do you get 4 strikes?
I thought in softball, in
No.
like some of the softball leagues, you get 4 strikes.
3. Well, maybe like a rec league.
Yeah, are we
I don't
playing
know.
rec league?
No. Okay.
Can we make it t-ball where you don't get any strikes? You just keep swinging until you hit the ball?
Sure. Well, that's kind of how my strike system works. But just know you have them up there. All right. Let's talk about some
If
things
I foul the ball on the 3rd strike, does that still count as an out?
You talking to, let me go ahead and sip my coffee because you doing your own show now. Go ahead, do a one-man show. Why don't you I'm trying to talk about what's trending on the internet this
All
week,
right,
but
so
you want to talk about Safa.
AI is trending on the internet, and people are, getting horny for their like future like lookalikes or whatever. I don't know.
Babies. They're called babies.
They're like, I'm horny, so let's have sex so I can make someone that looks like me. And one of the ways they're getting horny nowadays is that AI is generating baby lookalikes of themselves. So it's like,
Yeah, I've seen people with and without children doing this to either like compare to their current children or just to sort of, I don't know, romanticize what their future children would look like. What are your thoughts on this?
Remini. Well, you're giving this app more data on yourself, uploading these photos. So, I don't know what they're going to use these photos for. So now they have that AI data they could use for, I don't know, AI porn in the future. And you're like, yeah, maybe I don't want my face to be, used in a porno if it's AI generated. I mean, I wouldn't care.
Who's making AI generated porn? I like the natural bodies myself.
People
the human
are
bodies.
making AI generated porn.
Really? Well, I've heard of like hentai.
Well, that's animated.
Animated porn.
anime.
But okay, so people are making AI generated porn?
If we can say AI generated porn, if we can say that, it exists.
Okay. So here's my question, because I've been the one in the past that's been a little bit afraid of AI voice recognition and being able to replicate a voice.
Yeah.
I caution to say that this is dangerous with the AI baby trend. Is it annoying? Sure. But I caution to say if it's dangerous because I'll speak for myself. The internet has so much of my data already.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
they have every single thing they need to know about me. If they wanted to nuke me right now, they know the coordinates. So I don't think I'm the best person to say people shouldn't do this for safety reasons because I literally post like my armpits every day.
well, it's people were freaking out about AI generating Drake songs, which is like,
Right.
wow, oh man, Drake
Well,
can't
there's
write his
money,
own thing now.
but there's money and copyright and licensure issues in that.
Yeah, well, you just say, "Oh, that's not my song, Drake." And also, is it a Drake song if Drake didn't write it? I mean, it makes it a Drake song because Drake has the whole persona. We talked about this before,
Okay.
but my thing is now we are selective. Now we're like, "Oh, but AI generated, babies based on our lookalikes or whatever." That's fine because um, you know, what are they going to do with that? But you're still giving a company data.
Hmm.
And that doesn't mean that the company's going to use that data for other things, but it does mean that they have that data and that they get to act as like a third party and sell that data to someone else.
Mm. And people are like, they're like, if we just jazz it up and do it for fun and spit out a picture. Well,
Well,
because we all did not we all. I'll say I'm one of the people that I sent my picture to somebody else and
yeah.
they did the little AI thing when it was just us as like a fantasy cartoon or something. But the babies is really interesting.
Yeah, well, data brokers are, online data brokers are a real thing. So if you sign up for a game that's free,
Okay.
right? You're giving that game part of your data. It could
Right.
be your coordinates, it could be your name, your age, and then they're going to sell that data to advertisement agencies or whatever. They can use whatever information you give them. They can sell that to other people.
Hmm.
So if you upload personal photos of yourself for this AI to generate a baby, they now have these photos and they can sell those photos to other people if they wanted to.
Hmm.
Or they can sell the AI generated of yourself to other people, right? So if I'm a AI generated, animator, and I want to buy a bunch of different, people, so I can make a film, whether it's adult film or whatever, I could maybe go to an AI generated, program like Remini and say, "Hey, can I buy some of your data?" Maybe they sell it to me, maybe they don't. Maybe they have a contract being like, you can't use it for this and that.
Gotcha.
But you're
But there's
still giving,
possibility in
yeah. So
there.
people are like, it's just funny how, it pulls on your heartstrings to see a baby lookalike of you,
Yeah, it does. I
and
feel
so
like
people
I've
are not
done
going to
this before. The
freak out about that.
not an sorry, I thought you were done. Not an AI baby, but I've definitely been like, let's put me and Ben's picture in a little generator and see if it looks like wild.
Yeah, you did that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that somehow is not an AI baby, or it is.
Well, yeah. I mean, whatever generator you ran that through, now they have those photos.
Got you.
And depending how large their servers are,
But
how regularly they like clear out their servers.
but what if I used? But what if I had already had that picture posted on Facebook or something?
I mean, anything you post on Facebook, Facebook owns it to an extent,
Got it.
which is why they're able to
Screwy.
sell it. Well, no, it's not scary. It's just how they make money.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we know that, Ben votes this kind of way. We know that he has a black wife, and he knows this. So we're going to give him ads. We're going to feed this to ad companies
Right.
and target focus ads. It's not like nebulous,
Yeah.
insidious things. They're not actually overturning elections, even though people think they are.
Yeah.
Most people on Facebook, yeah, it's just not a thing.
Got it.
So
Thank you.
I don't think we should be worried.
Okay. Well, we'll keep our. I mean, I love new technology. Even right now, one big thing that's happening is like everybody's migrating from Twitter to
Threads.
Threads and to there's like a black Twitter app called Spill. I want to say.
Oh,
So yeah, because we don't tweet that much, but apparently Elon's making it like insufferable over there. And then I think he's also starting to limit how many like posts you can see or like in a
that's
day
old
or
news.
something.
That's
I know.
old
I don't
news.
twiddle, so I
You don't twiddle?
it's new to me. I don't tweet. But so yeah, but I do like I'm on AMP and things like that. Shameless plug, Bad Advice with Amber on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. So it's just
Why
new
is
apps
this?
all
Why
the
is
time.
this a trend though? I want to get back. Why is this a trend? Why do people want to see their future babies, what they look like?
I don't know. I guess it's just fun to see yourself, and it's like why is putting bunny ears on my face fun? It's just
They
I
just
think
want
it's just a way to pass the time and see yourself differently. I saw my friend had AI babies. I have a friend who's single. She had AI babies. She had a picture of her in a wedding dress. I'm like, everything okay over there? Like,
It could be a
it's
way
just
of living
hard.
out a
It's a
fantasy
way of living out of fantasy,
that
right?
you may or may not get in your future. So it's
Yeah,
almost like playing a video game
yeah, or even a board game.
or a
Like I
board
used to
game.
love playing the game of life. I'm like, what house am I gonna get? Or Monopoly. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna own something on Park Place.
I was thinking though, oh man, I could see like a some sort of like a anti-abortion company
Hmm.
getting like list of everyone who's had an abortion and then matching those lists with people who've made AI babies on Remini or getting those pictures and then running those pictures through Remini and saying this is what your baby would have looked like.
Oh, I hate that.
Or
Oh
someone
God.
walking into, I could see this, like you set up a TV and the TV scans somebody walking into an abortion clinic and then quickly runs that through Remini and spits out the image of what the baby would look like. So this is what your baby will look like if you go in, if you, this is what you're murdering if you go in and get
That's
an abortion.
evil.
Isn't that evil?
So evil. I don't even want
That's
to, that just gave me
that's how
chills. That's a horror story.
that's how an anti-abortion, because you got to call them anti-abortion. You can't call them pro-life. If they're pro-life,
Right.
you can't call yourself pro-life if you vote against maternal leave, if you vote against
Yeah.
health care for the mother, if you vote against all these other things, if you vote for war, if you vote for the death penalty. So I'm not going to give them that pleasure of saying that they're pro-life. So anti-abortion. But
Gotcha.
I think that would be a really fucked up story.
Yeah, you gonna work on your
To
short horror story about
yeah,
that
that
because
sounds
that
like
does
a
sound
great
horrible.
yeah,
Ugh. And then what?
and then maybe the protagonist comes in and murders starts serial killing the people who protest outside abortion clinics.
Yes.
That would be like a conscientious serial killer.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
that
they
exists
exist.
somewhere.
Yeah.
A serial killer of anti-abortion protesters.
Yeah.
Where are they? Get it
Man.
together. I'm just kidding. Woo. Podcast gotta read it explicit on that one.
Speaking of influence, I post a lot of things. I've been posting
Yeah.
more
Speaking
things.
of killing,
I got a really funny message that turned into pretty mean.
funny would be the
So
way to describe it. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. What did the message say?
well, so I do like serial killers, so I actually brought a book I can't put down. I started this book when uh yeah, it's an amazing book. So the first night I read like 100 pages of it, and I wasn't feeling very good. It's called Mayfly by C.J. Leede, and I opened it up. First time. This is the first person's novelist, but it's a Disneyland novel. It's a serial killer novel. It is a L.A. novel. It's amazing. Sort of gives it away if I say serial killer,
Oh,
because the first you don't really find out the serial killing is happening until after like the first 100 pages, but it is a huge twist. It is violent
that you're
and
giving away.
gross. Yeah.
Okay, well, so what
Highly
is?
recommend it.
All
So I
right.
just like this kind of stuff because you sort of get into the darkest realms of human, or like why people decide to do these terrible things. It's just creative and gross, and some of the kills are cool. And anyway, yeah, you should read Mayfly. It's an easy book to read, very easy. And this person wrote to me on a message.
We'll plug it to get it in the shelfie segment.
They were like, Ben, or however you spell your name, just know you would get caught. You would get caught. You've said things. We're giving advice when I don't know if we're going to make it. I love you when you're. I love you when you're still. I love when you're still like you're in a coffin. If anything were to happen, I would pull the plug. There's a couple of other things that you've said too that seems to leak dark and sinister thoughts. I do have dark, sinister thoughts. That little Chris Watts vibe isn't funny. That's the guy who murdered his whole family and like hid his girls inside the oil rig thing. You better figure it the fuck out because you would get caught. You would so get caught.
So someone messaged this to you on
Fly on the Wallin podcast.
Did you just mispronounce our last name?
Yeah, people call me Wallin sometimes, like
Don't
the Wailing
mispronounce
Wall.
it because
Wallin.
I took your last name too. So I'm like, wait a minute, what? I've been pronouncing it wrong too. Okay, so someone messaged this to you basically on Instagram,
Yeah.
essentially saying you have said the following things. So if you did something to me, you would get caught.
I mean, the first thing I did was like, fuck, now I can't go through with it.
See, don't even play because they gonna be mad. Well, because here's the thing: I know you love horror and gore, and I know you're joking. But what? Be honest with me. What was your initial thought when you saw
I
somebody
thought
sent
it
you
was
that message?
funny. I thought this was hilarious. And
Okay,
I was
good.
like, oh. Then I got to that little Chris Watts vibe isn't funny. I was like, I give Chris Watts vibe? I mean, he was pretty hot and muscular. I don't have muscles.
That's not funny.
I don't have muscles. Like, he had a presence. Well, first of all,
She didn't say, or they didn't say that little Chris Watts vibe. What Chris Watts physique isn't funny. They said the vibe.
I mean, your vibe is everything. Your physique and everything. I
Yeah.
didn't. First of all, Chris Watts never talked about killing his family. He was like, I
That's
have a
true.
perfect family.
That's true.
He had a girlfriend on the side. I was like, who? What? I don't have a
Yeah.
girlfriend on the side.
You don't have to say he's hot though. That's just crazy.
He was an attractive man.
Yeah, but you just unhinged for pointing out, like, first of all, he's finer than me, so I can't be a serial
Yes.
killer. So would you say like the number one? Well, serial killers do be fine.
Some of them
Sadly.
are not. Some of them are not. I don't know if you ever watched
That's true.
Blackbird.
That's true.
You know, but a lot of them are men.
But that's essentially what you're saying. You're like,
well, I'm not Chris Watts.
right.
I don't.
But
give Chris
but the vibe is that like family killer, like that, like the dad.
family.
Did it.
Like he's a hot dad, hot family dad killer, who gave the illusion that he was a perfect family. He also ran his own business. He liked trucks.
We run our own business.
Yeah, but I don't like trucks, like big trucks. He also had a house with a backyard, and he had 3 kids. I have 1 kid.
I think he had 2. I think they had 2.
No.
Oh, 2 and 1 on the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I see that. I see now why we're disagreeing. Anyway, so you know everything about his life, it seems, because the minute this person said Chris Watts, you decided to do a deep dive on where the motherfucker went to high school.
It was like an American crime. Remember? No, we watched it together.
I love true crime, so
yeah, Amber. If anybody's all right, but honestly,
I'm also
Amber,
getting stronger than you. So if you want to go, let's fucking go.
If you were to kill me, how would you do it?
This is not helping the fact that people think you're gonna kill me one day.
All right, so if you were to,
if I were to kill you,
how would you hide the body?
I don't know how I would hide the body, but I think I would want to run over you with a car.
Ooh.
And just like back up and go forward and back up.
Oh yeah, just like a crunch, like.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I just roadkill your ass.
Okay. Yeah.
How would you kill me?
How would you dispose the body? Is it better? Because you don't want any evidence.
How would I dispose of your body?
Because if I'm roadkill, you have to scrape. You'd have to get one of those shovels. You know, they have one of those shovels that you have to scrape up with the ice. So you'd have to.
Maybe I would just skip town and start a new life. It would be hard trying to pick up your little glasses and stuff. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have killed her. You know.
Who messaged me? I should say their name.
No, don't do that, Benjamin. How would you kill me? They gonna love this. They're gonna be like.
I mean, I would Othello your ass because you snore so fucking loud.
Wait, what happened to Othello? Was it beheading?
Othello kills his love interest by suffocating her.
You would suffocate me.
Iago takes a pillow. I would pillow your ass. So Iago sort of says, his partner is,
You would look me in my eye and suffocate me.
No, you'd be sleeping, snoring so loud.
Yeah, but you would have to eventually take the pillow off, and then you'd be like, you'd see my face there.
No. Because I'd look away. I'd just look away, and then I'd feel you stop struggling. I'd probably have my eyes closed, feel you stop struggling.
Okay, you know what I'm gonna do if you ever try that? I'm gonna stop struggling.
Well,
and lie there.
That's the thing. But if you wake up,
I'm gonna fuck your shit.
Yeah,
this is really bad.
That's so fucked. I love this conversation.
Y'all, please do not take this seriously. Ben loves like gore and humor.
You
and
do
horror.
too, man.
I do too, but I feel people getting uncomfortable. Even though I haven't produced this episode yet, so I just want to remind people that this is a joke.
This is a long-running joke. Also, the best way to dispose a body, maybe get like piles of acid, like a vat of acid, and then just melt the body. I saw that in Breaking Bad. They do that.
Got it.
Oh my God, it's so sad that they like kill these two boys on bicycles, and then
No, stop spoiling it.
it's so sad.
Some people haven't seen. I haven't seen Breaking Bad. I saw like episode 1.
You were not interested in finishing it. Amber didn't.
I
like
might
that.
go see it one day, and now you've spoiled it.
Maybe
so
when
thanks a lot.
we're in the nursing home, because Wild's like, you made me do too many things. I was music classes and library story time, because she's not gonna like let me go live with her.
Anyway, back to my snoring. Here's how I think about it. And this is real tea. If I didn't snore, what would be wrong with me? So I have to snore.
You want a list?
Because then I'd be perfect. I'm funny, I'm charming, I'm confident. So I have to have something, you know? I have to have at least one character flaw. So the snoring.
Do you want me to go down all the things wrong with you?
Give me 5 things that's wrong with me.
Okay, so you're impatient. Mm-hmm.
Or I move with urgency.
You put way too many things in the dryer so that the dryer doesn't dry everything. Amber tries to rush
a woman
the
who helps
laundry
with
load.
chores. A woman who helps
yeah,
with
but
chores.
she doesn't do it
no.
correctly.
Okay, so let's see. I move with urgency. I help out with household chores. Keep going.
You're impulsive, so you make decisions.
I take initiative. Keep going.
I mean, you were just talking about that tattoo on your that was hidden up by your hair. You got Amber got sugared a little while ago, and she discovered a tattoo down there that was an impulsive decision that, you know.
That now made for a fun story. Keep going. You got 2 more.
Sometimes you give people second chances when they don't deserve it.
I'm forgiving. I have a heart of gold. What's the next one?
You don't know how to play an instrument.
I sing. My voice is my instrument.
Okay, fine, but like
I can play a tambourine. And I could probably figure out how to put it all together in GarageBand.
You're not a Star Trek fan.
I know
That's
who
a huge
I know
flaw.
who Uhura is, and I watched The Strange New Worlds.
The first season, we got to watch the second season.
Yeah, but I watched it.
You did watch it,
and
but
I went
are you
out
a
of our
fan?
way to get someone to make a Star Trek inspired wedding signature thing
was
for
nice.
our wedding.
No, I did that.
No, you didn't. It was your friend, but I asked him.
Oh, you did?
I think we're forgetting who planned the wedding.
Yeah, Amber does plan pretty good.
So every flaw that you just named can actually be seen as something
you don't know how to
positive.
ask for help.
I don't want to burden people with my issues, so I try all of my techniques.
Amber's pretty good
before I
at.
ask for-
She's good at flipping the script for sure. All right, I'm done. See, I gassed you up and then I gassed you down. So
Anyway, you want to talk about Wild for a second?
yeah, let's talk.
We'll go
about,
through the imperfect parent segment real quick. What's going on with Wild Lynn?
Man, she did something recently, and Amber sort of raised her voice at her, and
You did that.
oh, I did that.
Yes, you were kind of a yeller.
Oh,
Well, you get panicked, like if she's about to run down the street, you're like screaming, yeah.
oh, well, she put her. So I think I raised her voice. She was gonna do something like grab something down that would have
Yeah.
really hurt.
Knock
her.
over a drink or something, yeah.
And I was like, no, don't do this. I raised my voice, and she just looked at me, and she like put her head down and started like. She just got like scared and shameful. I don't know if she felt shame. I think she was just scared, and she put her head down and was.
She like hides her
didn't
face.
She hit her face, and I was like, oh damn.
So she's doing this thing now where she's kind of
Feeling guilt.
physically showing that she feels guilt and shame
Dang.
when you yell too loud. And
I gotta stop yelling. So you loud.
yeah, but this is so new. I'm like, oh my gosh, she can like hear the words you're saying and
Like,
know
don't
their impact.
do that.
Yeah, and she'll try to find a way to ask for forgiveness a little bit.
Today she was playing with the door, and her finger was in between the edges of the door that it would shut on her, and I was like, "Stop!" And she
I was downstairs, so I heard you yell so loudly, and I was like,
because she did that earlier
Mhm.
this week, and she really hurt her finger. Like, not she didn't break it, thank God, but I just could see her, like, because those doors could literally, the force of those doors, the way they hinge, could snap her little bones, and I just was like, I
Gosh.
don't want her little bones to be snapped.
You know the thing about it, I was reflecting on this, and your sister told us this, right? When you have a kid, you learn sort of like what your individual triggers are with things, or like those triggers are heightened. So I've been learning that loud yelling is a huge
Huge
trigger
trigger
for
for
me
for
because
you.
God love him,
Stop.
my father was a yeller. So I don't even, you know how we are, Ben. Like when we get into an argument, I need you in the same room. Like you can't go in another room and try to argue with me about the thing
I'm
because
like,
even if you're not yelling,
can you just do this or do that? And she's like, no,
no, you're yelling at me. Yeah.
like, she's like, I need you to sit down next to me and hold my hand.
And yes.
I actually like that. That's a
Yes,
great.
because you know what you can't do? You almost can't cuss somebody out when you're looking them in the eye and holding their hand. Like hold my hand real quick.
Yeah.
Let me tell your ass something, bitch. Like
Yeah.
it's impossible to do like
I think you
without
could
comic.
pull it off.
I don't think I could. I don't think I could. But it's so easy. I mean, it's kind of like how it's easy for strangers to like tell you that you look fat and disgusting and ugly, and then if they ever got to you in person, they would never say that.
Also, they probably would not even remember saying it as well.
Yes, yes. Of course, they'd be like, "What?" I said, "What?" So it's very hard to be a thug while you're holding someone's hand and looking them in the eye. And even when you are not actively trying to yell at me or raise your voice at Wild or anybody, like if you're not talking in just like the tone that I'm talking in now, it feels like yelling to me.
Mm,
Isn't that crazy?
yeah. Well, I'm
You'll be
going
like,
to
put the
be.
clothes in the. I'm like, no, just come downstairs. No,
Oh,
all I'm asking you to do is put the clothes in.
that's
I'm like,
another
I
flaw
can't do
you
that,
have.
Ben.
That's not, you never changed the lint out of the lint catcher. And I'm like, you're gonna burn our house down. I jump to these ridiculous conclusions. Like, you didn't lock the
Yeah.
door. Someone's
And then
gonna.
somebody would come over and be like, Amber tried to burn the house down today, and I'm like, what is he talking about?
She didn't change the lint.
Oh my gosh, that fucking lit. Anyway, we are going to do our absolute best to be sweet and kind to Lil Wildland because I don't like that she
No
feels. I
excessive
don't.
scolding.
No excessive scolding. I don't like that she feels shame and puts her head. She like literally buries her head down when you do that. All right, you ready to move on to our marriage letters?
Oh yeah, these are my favorite.
Okay, so the next segment of our show is called I Do's and Don'ts, where we give dating advice, or if you're single and looking advice, or if you're giving, like, I'm married and this shit is horrible. We give as much advice as we can. So I'm going to jump right into our first letter. Dear Amber and Ben, what are your thoughts on critiquing your partner? I've been with my partner for 8 years. As of last year, we changed our lifestyle. We now try to live an active, healthy lifestyle. I have noticed I get little critiques coming from my partner. I know he means them in the best way possible, but I am an overly sensitive person. One critique was I was complaining about not seeing weight loss results recently, and he told me my late night snacking was bad or the reason. Recently, they told me I say the word like too much in a conversation. I know they have the best intentions with these comments, but sometimes they hurt my feelings. What are your initial thoughts to critiquing your partner?
Yeah, you got to have uh, intense trust before you give the critique and be like, listen, the reason I'm saying this is that I believe that you can have better speech habits and that it's difficult for me to listen to you when you use the term like. And I know it's a difficult thing. You have to put lots of, little asterisks as you give that. And there's got to be a lot of trust. So if I ever give Amber critiques that I think really careful about, I have to be like, I know that you're trying to do a load of laundry and get everything done. And I will try to help you with this, but make sure maybe just put the towels in and then put the sheets in because then we have to run them again. And please, please, I know it's difficult to remember. I'll maybe even put a little sign, but just please change the lint catcher. Okay,
Yeah.
please. So you can sort of do that and be like, and I'm not doing it because you're bad, or I'm not doing it like I sometimes forget to change the lint thing too. I don't, but I would lie and say, but I would be like, hey, this isn't the reason. I like to give a reason when I'm giving a critique,
Yeah,
I think there's this whole like ratio
correct.
between it's 3 praises, 1 critique or something
Yeah.
like that. Something to that lines. They teach us in teaching kids.
I'm gonna tell you both of Ben and I's flaws real quick because I'm gonna be honest about this. I have, I personally, I've always been like this. This is not unique to Ben. I have a really hard time taking feedback from people that are not on my level. I want to say that again.
Or that you
Or
perceive to
that I
not be
perceive.
on your level.
So I will give a clear example of that. Does that mean I'm right? Absolutely not. So, for example, I love my father, but he's going to become the number one draft pick for every conversation, right? So, my father barely graduated high school, and then he later went on to be in the Air Force. Great. Obviously, he got together with my mom, whatever. It was very hard for me growing up to hear my father give me critiques about my grades.
Anything formal education wise.
Any formal education wise, because in my mind, I was like, well, you didn't even do what you're asking me to do, So he would be like, what's going on with this B that you have in whatever college course? And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking like, you didn't even go to college, Is this very childish? Yes. No, I'm admitting that it sounds nonsensical. Yeah. So what happens with you and I is I will edit a video and you will give me critiques. You will give me unsolicited critiques on that video. Like you'll hover over my shoulder and be like, you need to shave 30 seconds off of that. And I don't like that shit because I'm like, it is my editing that has moved us across this country. You will not critique this video. I need all 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And those are the times where you have to remind me of like, Amber, I'm not your enemy. You don't need this extra 30 seconds. You're a phenomenal. You have to almost be like, you're a phenomenal editor. You're a phenomenal storyteller. You can shave 30 seconds off. And that's when I'm like, I really could. So I need to be humbled in those ways, but it is really, really hard for me and for a lot of people to take criticism from somebody who is not doing the thing or has not been better at the thing than I am. It's not hard for me to take feedback from mentors and people who are more successful than me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm not sure what this specific letter dynamic is, but I know for me personally, that is something that I need to work on because just because somebody, just because I edit more videos than you doesn't mean you don't have really valid critiques. I would say
also a mentor relationship, you go into that expecting a critique.
Right.
So when you're with a partner, that partner does a lot of things with you. You cook together, you have fun together, you pay rent, you do all these other things together. And so when they jump into a critique, now they're entering into sort of a different part of that relationship.
Yes.
So you sort of got to give a person a warning. I've learned with Amber that I got to give her a warning. Like, do you want me to critique this, or do you want it to just stand as it is? So
you did
sort
that
of
yesterday.
asking that.
Oh, you did that yesterday, and I almost got horny. I almost had
like,
sex with you on the kitchen table because I was like, "Oh, check out this video I just made. I'm about to send it to this brand." And you were like, "Before I watch this, would you like critiques, or would you let me just watch it and move on?" And I was like, "Thank you for giving me the choice.
Yeah.
Thank you for not hijacking the video and telling me it's trash."
Yeah.
That I feel much better at. But whenever I would
never say trash. That's not a critique. That's just a value judgment.
I know, but that's how it feels when I get an unprompted critique. I feel attacked.
Yeah,
I know that sounds crazy, but when I used to walk in from school to say like, "Hey mom, hey dad, what's this B I see on your report card?"
That's a value judgment.
I
that's
go
not
into
a critique.
defense mode.
That's
I
not
go into
like
defense mode.
You can ask that, and you can sort of say something like, "Hey, I noticed you got a B. I expect for you to have an A. You're smart." So you sort of lead with that, where you just ask, "What's this B?" That sort of becomes a little bit.
Yes, or you say like, "Hey, go put your stuff down. Go have a sandwich. I would love to talk to you about your grades in a minute when you get a chance. Like, I see some good things on here, and I see some things I'm wondering about."
Yeah.
Like, that gives me a second to be like, okay, let me go breathe. Let me go whatever. But whenever somebody just throws me into a conversation and I didn't see it coming, I go into attack mode.
Or defense, yeah. Or, yeah, you're more of an attack.
So I say all this to say, going back to the letter, it doesn't mean that your partner cannot critique you. But sometimes, for example, and I'm someone who says like a lot, as y'all have heard on the podcast. I'm
Me
working on it
too.
as well. But sometimes I think to myself, where is this critique coming from and how is it productive? Because if I am sitting on my couch just using casual, informal speech, I shouldn't have to monitor how much I'm saying like versus this and that. Now, if I'm hosting something and I want to get better at my speech and better at connecting with my audience, I am welcome to taking a critique. But upgrading my language that is not offensive at the house is just crazy for me. It's just not like I don't think that's necessary.
I disagree.
Okay.
I believe if you are trying to stop a habit, you're going to have to practice in the home.
Yeah, but one of us has asked the other of us several times to stop cussing as much because maybe we have a child who's picking up everything, and then I get pushback. So it's like, well, what am I? So you're saying now that it is okay for me to give you a critique on your speech,
In the
and
home,
you're going to take
at
it
all times.
seriously
Yeah.
in the home and outside the home
Yeah.
because you kind of contradict yourself a little bit.
What are you talking about?
You don't So I
I'm
have receipts.
so I think you're confused. I'm saying if you want to practice a habit, for example, in this case, saying the term or the word like, and you want to stop saying that,
Well, I don't think
you
the
need to
person
let me
wants to
finish.
stop saying
Yeah,
it though.
let me finish. If that's the behavior, then you're going to have to practice this in the home. Your statement is saying it shouldn't matter how you yes, we switch how we talk formally or informally, but the word like is a filler, and filler words are very distracting, and it would be helpful to remove that completely from your language, both in the home and outside the home.
Well, okay, well here's what I would want from you if I was getting that critique.
Mm.
What you just said. I would like my partner to say like I'm having a difficult time listening to the complete story because I keep hearing a few filler words here. One of
Mm.
your main filler words is like. So could you just tell me this story again and do your best to just tell me exactly what happened, how it happened, so I can truly listen to you because I want to listen to you.
Mm.
But if I'm just telling the story and somebody's like, you say like too much,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like, what?
disruptive to the story.
Right. Like, why
Well,
do you actually want me to stop saying like?
well,
That's the question. Because I actually want you to stop cussing as much because our kid is picking up words by the second.
quite literally. In this case, this person asking advice on giving someone critique. I think giving them a warning that you're about to give them a critique
Mm-hmm.
and give them the reason that you're giving them the critique, which is what you just said. So if you're giving them a critique about using the word like, say, hey, when you told this story, I heard like frequently and it distracted from me understanding the story. So giving warnings and giving the reason behind any critique is a huge, huge preventer of of conflict. I tried to avoid saying like.
Me too. Me
It's
too.
hard.
I think that's helpful. Please let us know what y'all think about that in the comment section on YouTube or wherever. But let me know. You know who you are who submitted that. Okay, you ready for letter number 2?
Yeah.
Hello, Wallin fam. Recently, I've been seeing this white guy for 3.5 months, and we're having a little trouble with him feeling comfortable in my black spaces. When I hang out with his friends and family, I'm very interactive with everyone. I participate in all the activities like it's the best thing ever. Basically, feeling a part of the family and the crew. Sometimes his friends text me to do stuff more than him now. When it comes to my black spaces, he acts way different. He gets quiet and very standoffish. That makes it very awkward for my peers. I've always tried to get him to participate by asking questions in my group settings, and he is very short with his response or whatever. This is not just with my black friends and family, it's also within black concerts or black movies. What should I do?
Break up with them.
I agree.
No.
I well, you go.
Yeah, I don't know how else to do this.
I will say that okay. I want to clear something up real quick because I think sometimes people see our relationship and and think like your key to happiness is interracial love. That is not true. I've dated plenty of black partners before I got with Ben who were great. They just didn't work out because of timing or maybe they didn't want a relationship. So I don't think that, you know, white is right or the key to that is everything. But because we are in a interracial relationship, if you were uncomfortable, now have you put your foot in your mouth once or twice in a weird way? Sure. But if you were like generally uncomfortable in those spaces, I don't think we could continue seeing each other.
Yeah, it sounds like this white man's only interaction with black people have been you. And so that means that you're going to have to be not only his educator, but also his like love interest. And that there's an element of being an educator and love interest that goes hand in hand, but you're going to be his like elementary school teacher,
Yeah.
you know?
And is the juice worth the squeeze at this point? Because
That's
it's
the question.
like, do y'all have an incredible time together? And it's so magical and so wonderful because no shade, girl, 3.5 months, I feel like is something that can be let go of.
Yeah, 3.5 months is it's enough time for him to sort of talk about it. I think you should talk about it.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you've brought it up before,
right.
because
you have to bring that up. Like,
there are black spaces that, yeah, do white people go to black spaces without like romantic involvement bringing them in? You know, like for the most part, a lot of
like lifelong childhood friends, maybe.
yeah might do that. Yeah.
I mean, you would know better than I.
For me, I guess like the black spaces I went into were schools. I taught in black schools, and so you sort of hear things in that way, or and then occasionally go to a black church.
Yeah.
My church growing up, they had a lot of the churches on Long Island. They're segregated, so there's Korean churches and white churches, like Hispanic and Latino churches. And so occasionally our white church would meet with and do sort of a combined service with a Korean church or something along the line of that.
Okay.
Or a black church. And so so they would do like a shared barbecue or whatever. That is a way to interact with those spaces as well, where the spaces intermingle. A lot of white kids, first interaction with black spaces are through like listening to hip hop music. For them, probably the biggest gateway is going to a concert, a black space in that way. But
because really,
that's a lot of work for you.
It's a lot of labor, and honestly, what it sounds like it's coming down to is fear. Like you are afraid of a race of people, of a culture. You're afraid of my family and friends. Like that's. Like, why else would someone be uncomfortable? There's
maybe they don't want to say something racist, or they don't want to come off as
that's still a level of fear.
Yeah, they're afraid of this or that, and that's when you just gotta be like, you gotta chill. Like, it's fine. No one thinks you're racist,
or no one's looking at you.
No one's looking at you.
Yeah, I don't know. Would you like to share what it was like meeting my family for the first time, or?
Yeah, it was awesome.
I wish you was a little short sometimes with my family. You be talking too damn much. I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. I mean, people are different. People are, some people are just cooler than I know. This sounds like a shitty situation. Sounds like you're vibing with this person in other ways, but this person's not comfortable around black people. And
That's
if you're
wild.
not, and you're black, and those are your peeps, as you say, and so.
Yeah, that's always, because if you're black people, other black people are always going to be in your life. So that can't happen. That, a couple weeks ago we were talking about how it kind of sometimes does matter that your family and friends approve of your partner, because it's like this is your nest. This is who keeps you grounded. And if those people think you can do better, or think, hey, your partner is uncomfortable with just us existing. We passed him a hot dog and he hid in a corner. Like, that is not, that just feels suffocating.
Mm-hmm. It's so okay. So whenever you go, this is the thing. Whenever you go to a different culture, it's uncomfortable at first. And
but you don't think sometimes, like,
and black culture is a different culture than white.
Yes,
culture,
of course.
Like whites.
But it's exciting. Like, we just came back from Paris. Like, it's exciting to try a new culture's food and music,
for some people
and
that
energy.
could be very scary. and be very, you don't want to, step a boundary or say something wrong or do something culturally inappropriate that you're unaware of. For some people, that could be anxiety inducing. For us, we're like, yeah, whatever. Also, that's not the first time
Yeah.
we've done that together. We've
Yeah,
gone
that's
to
true.
other places together. And there are definitely, I remember the first couple of times I went to a different culture, I remember feeling super uncomfortable. When I was 16, I went to Romania. I was very uncomfortable seeing the
But did you
Roma
grow to
there.
get more comfortable?
Yeah, eventually, because I matured.
Of course.
And it sounds, you could give this person more months to get it together, but you're going to have to talk to them directly about it. Hey,
And he has to admit that like I can totally see myself shifting in these spaces, and I love you, and I
he
like you, and I want to do this
he
right.
he might just need permission from you to act himself, and he might be like, well, maybe they won't accept me if I act myself because it's too white or something.
Yes, but like,
And
but
like
what
and
people
then you're
don't
like,
realize
that's
is like,
internalized, right? Like that's
yeah,
sort of a racist idea.
yeah, it's something one of my old jobs taught me is that like we in the workplace, in the love place, in the family space, like
The love
we just
place.
we're in the love place, in the sunken place. We have to do a better job assuming the best in each other, and so I think to be black is to inherently have almost everyone assume the worst of you.
Mm.
So now in my because the reality is when you bring a white person into a black space, you already a little bit compromise the space. People naturally make black people, we naturally make accommodations to make this white person feel more comfortable, whether we think we do or not.
Mm-hmm.
When people see Ben, they're like, "Hey, get in here, hey!" And they're trying to go out of their way. My family members and loved ones go out of their way to make you feel comfortable,
And I try to match that
and you
energy.
match that
So I'm
energy.
like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, great.
Yes. And so it's frustrating when black people, we're always presumed to be like aggressive and dangerous or whatever. So when we go out of our way to accommodate and you still acting like that, why did you bring this man over here? Is what I would be thinking if I was your cousin, you know?
Mm.
So I think he needs to also think about that. Like when a white person comes to a space, we go out of our way to be like, okay, you got any fun dietary restrictions?
I'm
Well,
also,
let's teach you how to electric slide. Like we already make concessions.
you know what I would suggest to this person, because this person, this person wrote the letter. The white guy, you've only seen him from the letter around his friends, where these are people he's presumably spent a lot of time with. So of course he's going to be more comfortable and chill. I wonder if you took him to a different setting, like all around that wasn't a black setting, and just to see his interaction there, to see maybe he could just be a more shyer person around new settings.
That's a good point, though.
Potentially, right?
Yeah, no,
And
that's a good point.
that like, oh, this is a new setting, I'm just going to be shyer. So if you did like a work event with him
Salsa dancing
or
class
salsa
something
dancing
yeah,
class or
something that's
something
not black or
so-
white.
something that, or yeah, I would say even white, even go to a white space that feels alien or different to him, and I observe if he's more shy or more quiet spoken, because people can be very, very different once they're out of their own element of comfortability.
That's true.
So
So try that. I
Try
guess
that.
so scrap everything we just said. Try what Ben said, and if that doesn't work, ask yourself, is the juice worth the squeeze? All right, real quick. Last segment of the show, Shelfie. You shared earlier that you were reading Maeve Fly.
Man, there's this whole thing in here about people saying that Los Angeles doesn't have the culture of New York. And the main character, Maeve, who's probably my favorite protagonist now, anti-hero, she goes on this whole rant about culture is everywhere. How do you say there's no culture? Literally, look at the Troubadour, which is a LA music venue, which I gotta go to. We've talked about going to a music venue. Culture was built here. Movies were built here. How do New Yorkers come here all the time and say LA doesn't have the right kind of culture, or there's no culture here? And she's like, you could go out to bumfuck the middle of nowhere with 100 people and there's culture there. Where they're humans, there's culture. And there's this wonderful line about that. It's really, really good. So the protagonist is written first person, but the protagonist has these deep, wonderful thoughts. And it's such a violent book. And a lot of it takes place in Disneyland. She works as she's Elsa.
Oh, that's cool.
Elsa is the queen, right?
Yeah,
Wait, she's
in Frozen.
She's Hana.
Anna.
Anna. She's Hana. Anna. She's Anna. No, she's Elsa. She's either Elsa or Anna. I forgot.
Okay.
I forget the two because she doesn't call it Frozen, so she calls Cinder. I think because of copyright reasons, she talks
Got it.
about Cinderella and Snow White, and then there's Elsa and Anna, and she's
Right.
which is her friend and her, and she just calls them the Scandinavian queens or the ice
Got
queen
it. I
because you
see that.
can't say Frozen
Yeah, you
because
can't.
Frozen is
It's owned by somebody else.
owned, but Disney doesn't own Cinderella and Snow White. Those are
That makes
fairy
sense.
tales that
Got
have been
it.
around for a very long time. So I was like, oh, I see what you did here. It's really worth it because,
Where did you get this book again? Stories?
yeah, story. So
Cool.
this book was recommended by Stephen Graham Jones and Grady Hendrix, who are like, master horror writers.
Hmm.
And
I'm gonna write this
this
book
is
down.
CJ Leeds' first book, who is an LA person. And I was like, oh man, this book is amazing. And she was doing a reading at Stories Cafe in LA, which is a great little cafe and bookshop. And I put it in my calendar to go. We had just come back from Paris and I forgot about it. And something popped up where I was reading Stephen Graham Jones again. I was like, oh yeah, I need to read this book. And I was like, oh yeah, she's doing a book reading. Realized I missed it, got super depressed. But then I went and bought the book, and it's short. It's an easy read. You got to read it. Man, I think Amber, you would love it. And the
Yeah,
cover is so cool.
I
So
do
the
like the
cover
cover.
is this woman eating an eyeball with like these teeth and like black blood dripping down. It's gruesome, and oh man, it's awesome.
Speaking of serial killers, for Shelfie, I know this is supposed to be what we do
It's what we
separately,
watch.
but
It's
it's what.
watch. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So Ben and I have been watching Swarm together, which
Oh
we've been meaning to start
man,
forever. We've watched the first 3 episodes, I want to say,
yeah.
and honestly, y'all, we are loving it
Yeah, it's
here.
shot on reel, so it has that grainy look,
Yeah,
and you can see the parts sometimes when they cut the film. It's such a cool
it's
movie.
so funny, and
It's a comedy.
it's yeah, it is a
It's a
comedy, and
comedy.
I enjoy seeing a black girl serial killer. I'm like, yes, more
Oof.
of this. I love when a black woman or lady or whoever is the villain, like in an
Yeah.
intentional way, because I
Best
feel like.
strip club dance I've ever seen.
Yes.
Ever.
Oh God, the stripper scenes. I feel like we have to be so like nurturing and take care of everybody's problems. So it's so radical to have a black girl just like bludgeoning people. It's like, yeah, we're a little fun too.
Yeah.
So I've really been enjoying Swarm. Dominique Fishback is a dream. I think this was directed by Donald Glover and Janine. Oh, let
Yeah,
me find her name.
Donald Glover's the big name behind it, who
Don't
did a
drag
lot
me
of
yet.
the production. And it is well worth the watch. And it's about 30 minutes. I do know people who don't watch a lot of horror have been watching it, but they've been
Janine.
taking their time watching it because it is violent. I think we've counted by the end of the third episode, maybe we counted like 6-7 people dying.
Yeah.
So you get like two people dying, 2-3 people dying an episode. So and you see them die.
Yeah, and Dominique Fishback is playing such great like alt black girl, kind of socially awkward. Chloe Bailey's been in there so far. Michael Jackson's daughter, Paris King, I want to say.
Paris Jackson.
Thank you. Who is Paris King? I don't know what I'm talking about.
Michael Jackson's daughter would have maybe his last name.
Yeah, somebody's name's King. I don't know. Paris Jackson was in an episode. I think they're just doing a really great job of being funny and campy and gory, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's gonna be, like Ben said, episodes are 30 minutes, so we fully intend to finish the series. But so far, 3 episodes in, they have not disappointed. I'm excited.
I think the whole 70s, 80s serial killer aesthetic films is very much seen throughout it as well. It worked for me.
And I love the whole plot of sort of the parody of the Beehive energy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really great. That's a super refreshing new storyline that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, so
And
they
it's like,
parallel parts of Beyonce's life
yes,
with this Nyjah is like the Beyonce in there. So there's an elevator fight scene that goes viral.
There's like a name, image, likeness
Yeah.
energy with Beyonce, and it's like, yes, we're tapping onto something here.
I do think this deserves a close watch because there are elements where if you're not watching closely, you might miss. For example, in the first episode, there's a robbery, but the person who causes the robbery is not really, it's implied who causes the robbery. So basically, we talked about it. So there's the main character runs like this mall stand. She walks away from her mall stand.
Yes.
And these men come and rob her mall stand.
Right.
And you're like, oh, wait. The person who made her walk away from her mall stand that was intentional, so his boys could rob it.
Right.
And but they never reference it. You never really understand why that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it deserves close watching. There's lots of like references and foreshadowing. It feels very like tight, like, high horror but also it's campy as well. So,
and it feels so present right now because going back to our early conversations, like the heinous things that people say in your DMs and in your comment section, like would they ever say in person?
Yeah.
If confronted, and you've got, it's like, who's your favorite music artist? And they're gonna be like, "What?"
It's a recurring line. Yeah, like people write these trash, terrible things on Twitter, and then they get confronted by it. By a serial killer confronts them with their words, and they're like, "I don't remember saying it."
It's like, "Oh, you don't?"
Like,
it's the reason you're being killed.
Twitter, like, I don't know.
I love it. We gotta watch it when we get out of here.
It gives us sick satisfaction of seeing people murdered for their awful tweets, and you're like, yeah, maybe they don't deserve to die, but man, this is a fun fantasy to just watch on TV for a moment.
Yeah, we are really enjoying Swarm. Cannot recommend enough. Let us know what you thought of Swarm because we're watching it late. So please, I like that though. I like watching something when everybody's not watching it, so I can fully formulate my own thought analysis. Not digging into the stink pieces and think pieces just yet. So we're gonna finish that series by the time we record again.
Yep.
All right, Ben, you ready to get out of here?
I am.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Fly on the Wallin. Here's the outro music. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
You know they're from TikTok, cause those laughs keep you coming, cause they're wildin' all the time. Before Wild throws a tantrum, listen to our silly anthem, cause they're wildin' all the time. Don't swat while Amber squats and does her dance to please her plans, and Ben reads books while serving looks. Wild is wildin' all